Hey guys, welcome to another Tardis console video. I know that these have been a little further and far between than I planned on it being, but life's been kind of crazy. There's been a number of things happening in the last few months that has just kind of taken my time away from creating content, but it has not stopped me from actually building and collecting and working on the Tardis console. So I want to give you guys a little bit of an update, a brief update on the build progress, as well as one of the props that I had to kind of rework, just to kind of give you an idea about some of the process about it. I have been working on several pieces for this. I have collected a number of pieces, and I also was able to recently rent the one fader panel prop that I've talked about on this before, but wasn't able to purchase it. So unfortunately the company in the UK wouldn't actually sell me the part, so I was able to rent it for a week and had a contact, David in the UK, who was able to take measurements, castings, lots of photographs, a lot of detailed photographs, to allow me to recreate the prop in 3D in order to downsize the relative positioning and make some tweaks for my build, but also to be able to fully access this prop. So it will be the most accurate version of this particular panel piece, and it will be available when we get to that point. But I'm really excited that I was able to do that at the very least, even though I wasn't able to actually get the real one. And I have some new props coming up, and I know I have a promised video that I promised to talk about, specifically what the orange sliders are. And that video is coming up soon as well, probably next couple weeks, because I'm actually gonna have a bunch of them in my hands, so I can't wait to share with you that. But to start with, I had a very productive week this week. Finally, the weather has been great in Vancouver, so I've been able to get all the MDF that I needed, which was actually a challenge. MDF was on a shortage. There was a problem getting some of those pieces and then the thicknesses I needed, so I had to call around a couple different stores. I already had commitment to get those pieces of wood, so they were already in progress before a lot of other things happened in my life. But yeah, I was really excited to get those. It was just prolonged. I don't know what was going on with shortages. There's shortages still around the entire world, and shipping issues and here and there. So it's been really hard to struggle to get some of this just started, but I was able to, and I was able to get all the pieces of 1/2-inch MDF that I needed, as well as one sheet of 1-inch, which is what I started with this week. I'm using a place locally to me in Vancouver called FabLab, or FabLab Vancouver. You can find them on Instagram and Facebook and some other social media places, and they have a amazing shop, which I will be doing a video at some point showcasing the shop. But it's great. You want to go there to build something, to sew something, to 3D print something, or to CNC something, you can do it. And what's really cool is that, unlike my previous videos, if you've been following along with these videos, I went to a CNC place to say, here, help me out with this, and they were great, and I paid them per hour. It was fantastic. However, two different places actually, but this place I had to learn. So my first day there was doing one sheet of cutting, as well as learning how to use the machine. So not only in my last 5 years have I learned how to use things like laser machines and 3D printers and everything like that, I'm now learning how to use a CNC cutter, which is kind of the same trajectory. It's got the same kind of basics to it. It's just a matter of understanding the technology and the safety, obviously. So FabLab walked me through that, and then I cut my first sheet. As I'm showing the pictures here, this particular piece represented some pieces of the base and some pieces in the rotor, but basically getting that first bit cut and having 1-inch cutting was really cool. It was really awesome to watch it. It takes a while, about an hour of time to cut a sheet, and that's pretty normal. I remember that being about the same for my previous build. It's just how long the tool paths take and then what more you have on there. I mean, if you have like 3 circles on a sheet, it's not going to take nearly as long to cut, but for the most part, I'm planning on at least an hour per sheet to cut, and yeah, I can't wait. It was really fun to see how the machine worked, and really, this particular machine, and just to get the actual programming correct was really neat. So I had to actually revise my files when I got home for the rest of it. So just to recap about what I'm starting to build with, we are starting with the base, the central column, and the rotor, which you're seeing here in the 3D model. It'll also include the ribs that go around. I need to get these started in order to have the basic firm structure of the build, in order to make sure that everything is stable and glued together. It's probably one of the more complicated pieces to get started with, but I also have all the tubes to get started in there too, and the electronics to start to figure out how to get those to light up. And that is kind of really needed for that kind of core of it. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And going into 1 inch as well was a choice I made in order to cut down part pieces, because a lot of these pieces would have involved actually putting 2 half inches together. So in order to get around that, what I did is I decided to just get 1 inch material, which was again hard to find, but it's gonna save me tons of time of building. So now that I have these, I can't really put anything together yet. They're just gonna sit around. I basically need to cut another 8 sheets of 1/2 inch in order to be ready to build anything. So there'll be a little bit of time left to get to there, but for now, you'll be getting updates of this video as things get cut out. But that is the idea, that is the plan. So far we're off to the races, we're off to a good start. In fact, at the time of recording this, tomorrow I will be cutting some more panels out, and we'll see how long they take, but I'll be pretty much in the next couple weeks cutting it all out, and then I'll be gluing and nailing and sanding and then painting and priming. So it's great. I even got a new paint gun in order to get those pieces actually done as we go. So unlike before where I built the whole thing and then I started painting one panel, this is going to be, I'm going to paint the base, prep the base, it's going to be done before we start moving up. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. I hope you guys are excited to actually see it actually coming to fruition as well. And yeah, I can't wait to share more with you. The other thing I want to talk about today was the throttle. Now the reason I want to talk about the throttle is because one thing that's very important to me is getting some of these parts right. And there's 2 parts that are custom. And so I've been 3D modeling them. I think I brought them up on a previous video, and they're definitely on my Instagram. So if you've been on my Instagram, you know where I'm going with this. And that is, I did a test 3D print. So one thing to do, especially because I'm going to want to do this out of metal, ideally, is that I had to do a 3D test anyway, just to make sure that my scaling and everything was right. And this is the throttle here. Now dimensionally, it looks pretty close. It functions the way it's supposed to. However, I found it really large. Like the way that how big this is, it just felt large. And I was like, man, this is big. And as you're gonna see in the close-ups here as well, I couldn't get over how, I thought this was too big, especially thinking of it on a panel and actually having it like that. It just felt so big. And I don't remember such big hand motions in the show. So I was like, okay, so something went off. And at the time of when I first modeled this particular version, there wasn't much I had on that panel. It was all approximation and designs. But since then, as I've mentioned in a previous video, I have the little yellow lights that sit on the end of it. So because I have that, I can scale this a little bit better. And because of that, I have some photos from, a side or from the front or from the top, and I was able to kind of extrapolate the size, and I came to the realization that I made this too big. So, I mean, I knew it was too big, it felt too big, but I just didn't know how to quantify it. So what I did is I did redesign it and come up with a new scaling. And I did a couple different things this time that I didn't do last time. And first of all, I thought a lot of this material, like the base and the handles themselves, would have come from stock. So what I mean by that is someone would have went in and purchased a specific type of metal to do that. So what I did this time is I did rescale everything, but then I looked at, okay, so the base would have to be how thick? What things does aluminum come in for, like bar stock? And so I found out several different ones. The closest one that came to my scaling as I was scaling them was about 1/2 inch, so then that base became 1/2 inch, and that helped relate to the entire build all the way up. So then I used that to feed in to the build, and then I came up with this guy. Now, if you're immediately knowing that it's smaller, it's 100% smaller. If you haven't seen my Instagram posts comparing them, here they are. It's amazingly different. Now, one of the other big things is the shape is different. I'll see if I can show that with this. So the new one is way more square. And what's funny about that is if you look at some of the pictures that Nick Roboto has released, it definitely has more square appearance. I just completely missed it. I just got so used to it being kind of rectangular from my original modeling and scaling that I didn't really see that it was actually more square. Now this has a smaller footprint, but it also has a much more subtle pull. So it's great. I think dimensionally it's a lot more accurate. I'll have some pictures here showing it side by side with Nick's. I think the curve is a little bit more right. I think overall it's right. It is weird. It's really hard looking at some of the scales because I feel like I got really close, but then I look at other people's hands on it and it feels like maybe mine's a little too small, but it's really hard to tell. So I'm pretty happy with this. I am making subtle changes to the height of this bottom piece and this piece here, just subtle little changes, but this base here is what I'm gonna use. This is gonna be mine here, and I'm gonna sand it and make it all pretty, and then I just have to figure out everything else, where to get it and everything like that. But that is based on all those measurements. As I mentioned, this time I didn't just scale it, I looked at what was commercially available of these materials to make it work, including how thick this is and everything. So I'm really happy. I'm really pleased with how good this looks. And if you're looking at the close-ups, you know, sometimes it helps. It helps to kind of think about things smartly. It's not about, did I just get this correct based on silhouette? Did I get it right based on what is commercially available? Again, this silhouette wasn't that far off, but when you look at what's commercially available for these, like this would have been huge, you know? And it's kind of like what you have to do with it. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited to actually get this done the way I want to. The end goal of this piece here is this is going to stay 3D printed, sanded, and nice. I'm going to get aluminum for this and get it beveled. There's also some parts inside, some L brackets and whatnot to figure out. These are going to be machined aluminum. These are going to be aluminum that's laser cut and then bent into shape. Machined aluminum on the edges, and then of course the brass handles and then the screw to hold together. So fairly simple, simplistic as far as machines go. They will also be able to control the lights when we get to that point. But I wanted to share that with you because it's interesting going back and making adjustments and seeing how much they've changed based on new information and just common sense. So whenever you're looking at something and you're scaling, make sure you look at the common sense parts to make sure that you're actually looking at it with the lens of someone who's making it as opposed to just making something that looks good. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about what I've gone so far, please ask me down below. Be sure to keep up with my Instagram and my Facebook. Those both have very specific updates as I go. Oftentimes when I'm at the CNC shop, I will be posting kind of not live updates, but stories and maybe posts kind of talking about things, and I'll be making a video to share that with you guys as well. Once it's here all together, there's going to be a lot more build videos because I'm just going to set the camera and build. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. This is feeling much more real than it has in 6 years. So thank you all so much for the support, the questions, and sticking with me for this, because it is happening now. The build is going to happen. It's going to be up and done in the next month or so, hopefully. And then it's just going to be the other fun of coding the electronics, putting in the parts, making it make whoop whoop sounds and everything. I got some big plans for it, and I can't wait to share those as we come. And I'm going to have some more part videos as well. And stay tuned for some of my regular programming as well. I have some new props and costume pieces that I want to share. Everything from Star Wars to Doctor Who, and I just really need to sit down and do these videos for you guys because I do enjoy doing them and I do enjoy having those. Plus, I do have some giveaways that I'm about 5 or 6 years overdue that I was given to give away, and so I would like to do that for you all. So please let me know if you have any content suggestions that you'd like to see, and we'll go from there. But for now, stay tuned for more TARDIS building videos, as that is my major project right now, and I can't wait to continue to update that. I can't wait to play with it, let's be honest. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for liking, subscribing, for sticking around, and as always, thanks for watching.